Alright guys, so in the last video we went ahead and added a little bit of validation to our form, both on the view and on the server side inside of our route. So now what we want to do is handle the submission. Okay, so what happens when they actually fill out a title and details. So obviously we want it to get saved to the database. So what we're going to do is go into where we have the else, get rid of the res.send, and we're going to say new idea. Okay, now this idea comes from our model, which we included up here. Okay, it's connected to our Mongoose model. So when we create a new idea, we want to pass in whatever it is that we want to save. Now we want to save the title and the body, and that happens to be all that's in the request body. So we could just say request.body like that. We could pass that in, but I don't want to do that. What I want to do is create a variable called new user and set that to an object, and then set title to request.body.title, and then we'll set the details to request.body.details. And the reason I want to do this is because later on when we implement authentication, we're also going to want to pass in the user, and that'll be the request user.id, so whatever user's logged in. All right, so we want to make this a little scalable, and just putting request.body right in there isn't really the best thing to do. So we're going to pass in new user like that. All right, and then once we do that, we want to call .save. Okay, I actually like to put this on a new line, and then we're going to use a promise. Okay, it's going to return a promise, so we're going to say .then. And in here it's going to return the idea like that, and then we're just going to redirect. So we'll say res.redirect, and we're going to get redirected to /ideas, which is going to be the listing of ideas. It'll be this page here. Now we haven't created that route yet, but that's where we ultimately want to get redirected to. So let's go ahead and save this, and let's give it a shot. So I'm going to just reload this form, and we'll say title. Let's say we want to do a video on Kotlin crash course. Okay, we'll go ahead and submit, and we get redirected to ideas, which is not a route yet. But the important thing to check is to see if it actually went in the database. So what I'm going to do is open up my Windows command line, because I want to look in the Mongo shell. So we're going to cd into the mongodb /bin folder, and we're going to run Mongo. Okay, so this is the Mongo shell. I'm going to clear it, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to say show dbs, and you can see we have our vidjot-dev database. Now the reason that's in there is because we defined that right here. Okay, it's not like MySQL where we have to go in and actually create the database on the data side before we can actually use it in our application. Okay, it's one of the great things about NoSQL. Now let's say use vidjot-dev. All right, so now we switch to that database, and we're going to say show collections, and we have an ideas collection. We'll do db.ideas.find, and there it is, Kotlin crash course. So we have the details, the title, and it puts this object ID into the _ID field. Okay, it does that automatically. It also has a date. And the reason it has this date field is because that's what we put inside of the model. Okay, so we put that to go in automatically by default. So in the next video, what we want to do is work on this ideas page, and we want to fetch data from the database and then list them in our application.